Okay, what are you saying? Be welcome back to another stream. Let me check if the mic. There we go. Okay, so welcome back to another stream, people. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, if you are interested in joining the Discord group for elevating traders, the link to that is in the description below. Let me make sure there we go. So the link to that in the description below, completely free to join. It's also at the top of the chat as well. You can find more information regarding elevating traders. You can also join the community in terms of discussions about different trade ideas. I share ideas there, so do other people. If you want to do so, you can definitely join that group as well. So if you want to take part, join the discussions, make sure you do check out the group. Link in the description and also at the top of the chat, completely free to join. But guys, I hope everyone is doing well. If you are enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, make sure you do go hit the bell so you don't miss on any streams or uploads in the future. Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. What is up, Ahmed? Welcome to the stream. Sultan, what is up? Gorish, good morning. Welcome to the stream. Nayuki, hope I'm saying that correctly. Forex Trader, welcome to the stream. Hope you are doing well. So as always, guys, we'll go through USD side of things first. Take a look at the dollar, go for USD majors, see what's happening in that department. We'll take a look at gold, silver as well, probably go through some indices. If there are any particular requests, let me know as well. We'll take a look at them. Of course, let me know time frames you're working on as well. If you're working on lower time frames, let me know, because primarily we'll be looking at the full hour mostly. But starting things off, we've got the dollar, which is overall for me still pretty bearish. We've seen a lot of downside the past 2-3 weeks, and I'm expecting more of the same. My view is, how far do we pull back before potentially seeing the next bearish leg? I am looking at this area around here for price to pull back into for a test before we do see that next high, lower high, sorry. We've got one over there, we've got a second over there, and potentially we've got a third over there as well. Well, I'm looking for a third over there. Price potentially may not pull back that far. We are still seeing some nice structure here on the lower time frames. So nice push, pull back, push. We potentially could see another smaller pullback as such, and a continuation as well, and the market could continue falling. However, I'm looking for a slightly deeper pullback for bigger pullbacks on pound USD, bigger pullbacks in Aussie dollar, USD CAD. We'll go through those pairs shortly. But this is really where my confidence would lie. This would be a healthy pullback. If I whip out the Fibonacci from the high to the low, you can see it lines up pretty well from 0.5, 0.618 in that zone. And that's primarily where I want to take my pullbacks, at least when price can get to these areas. I know that, okay, we've had a healthy pullback, prices probably overextended a little bit to the upside. Now I expect a bit of relief in the direction I'm looking to trade in. So that's really the area which I want to short from. We'll see if we do get that this week or not. And again, in terms of expectations, let's say if we do get that pullback, the targets would be back at the prior low if we pull back from here. And if we're looking to take a little bit further, there is a low here which we could target at 105.6, which is the prior major swing low, which gave us this whole drive to the upside. So that's a very important low for me. Should price break through that, I'll be expecting a lot more downside in the longer term. So with the dollar, I'm overall pretty bearish with this one. But first, I do want to see some upside in terms of a pullback. And my expectation is pretty similar with Euro USD, which of course very closely correlates with the DXY. I'm looking at pretty much the same thing, just in the opposite direction. So I'm looking for price to pull back into this area here to try and see the next higher low. We've got a trend line connecting the higher lows here. I'm looking to see if I can catch the third higher low and hopefully swing it back to resistance. Looks like price is having a really tough time trying to reject resistance here. So I'm looking to see if price can push back into that high there at 1.052 and then get the continuation from the continuation from that area. Again, as I mentioned the past few streams, I'm liking the kind of bowl-shaped price action we are seeing here for Euro USD. Price is going from making lower lows to making kind of equal lows to higher lows. And typically when we do see this type of price action, it does normally mean prices get ready to push to the upside, and we're going to see a big continuation. So with Euro USD overall, I do expect to see a lot more upside in the near future. However, I do want to see a pullback first so I can find some entries. Of course, me taking any buys right now doesn't make too much sense because we're coming back into resistance, and prices, of course, having a hard time trying to break through. So I do want to see price pull away from that area closer to bullish territory where we're seeing buys located, which is in around 1.03. And that is where I do want to see if I can have find some entries and take price back to the upside and possibly back to this target as well, which coincides with that DXY level, which we pointed out. If I quickly jump back, looking for a push back into this support level, kind of lines up with that level with Euro USD as well. So we might see them kind of make the same move together. But in terms of opportunities, still looking at a lot more downside for Euro if I'm going to get some entries and get some long entries this week for Euro or whenever. It doesn't have to be this week. But that's the plan for Euro USD. Pound USD along the same lines. This one's a little bit cleaner than Euro, so I like this one a little bit better. And in terms of the opportunity, I think we're actually not too far away from it forming. Still got a bit of a pullback to do, but I like the confluence. I like the setup here a little bit more for pound USD. We've got a really nice level here in the 4-hour chart. Support was resistance twice as well. So this is clearly an area which price is showing a lot of attention to. So if price can come back to revisit that area along with the trend line, we could be seeing the next higher low in the sequence. So we've got one over there, second over there, third over there, looking at a fourth. And from that area is where we're expecting a lot more upside. So this is why we're looking for entries and looking to see if I can take it back to the high, which let's say if we pull back from there, that would be the target back to the most recent swing high. And if everything does go very well, for pound USD, we might see a pushback to 1.28, which is coming back into that high on the left. Again, as I mentioned on the high time frames for pound USD, we're coming from an area where I do expect us to have, well, not necessarily expect, but we could see a lot of upside. You know, the price came back from this low, which gave us new highs past this point. So this is a very strong daily low, and price has respected it well. So it could start a pretty big move if price really wants to continue this higher time frame trend. And of course, seeing that development on the 4-hour chart, it adds to the bias. It adds to the confidence of the trade. So looking at a bit more downside there for pound USD, and then hopefully you can find some nice entries around 1.25 to take it back up again. In terms of USD CAD, I'm pretty bearish on this one overall. And looks like we've seen some retracement finally. We've just about come back to test the range. I'm looking for price to have a slightly deeper reaction into that area before I do look to short, but it's coming into an area where it looks like we're starting to see that retracement. So things look like they're heating up for USD CAD right now. And if we can get some entries around 1.43, I'll be looking to see if I can short it at least back to the prior low, which would be back down here at 1.415. And as I've explained, we could go a lot further, but I think I'll probably just look to call it a day at that low. There is a big level here at 1.4, which I think eventually price will see a move to, but always being a little bit careful since there's still a lot of momentum to the upside. I know we're coming back from a really big level here on the weekly chart, but if I get a good entry and the risk reward looks pretty good, I'll probably just call it a day back at that low at 1.415. But in terms of the analysis, it's been pretty much the same for the past week or so. Looking at pullback there for dollar CAD, expecting a lot more downside and a push back into the prior low is still very much the plan there. So very bearish on dollar CAD, expecting a lot more downside. Let's see if we can get a deeper retest of the zone. Again, this is where a lot of momentum came from last week. So expecting price to revisit that and expecting sellers to jump back into the market to push price down. That's my thinking there. If we do break past that area, I will probably look to see what we can do around 1.4853, basically back at the high here. So that would be my last point of call there for some shorts. But we'll see what we can do at this level here to take it to the downside. Aussie dollar, same situation as dollar CAD, just kind of flipped really. Again, nice area consolidation here. A lot of momentum came from here last week. Price hasn't come back to revisit and retest that level, so it's still relatively fresh. And of course, we've broken structure to the upside. So the plan here for dollar CAD as well is looking for some upside. Equally with dollar CAD, we've come back into a really big level of weekly support. As you can all see there, price is respecting that area pretty well, and that could that could send Aussie dollar to the upside a lot further. We've had a nice initial reaction, but I am looking for a pullback off this move for price to keep going. And of course, in terms of targets, back to that prior high, it makes the most sense to me. So this is really what I'm looking at for Aussie dollar, for a push back to the high at 0.64. And yeah, we're not too far away from that. So definitely to keep a close eye. USD CAD, Aussie dollar coming into some areas where we could start to see some buy opportunities. Definitely to keep a close eye on that. Still very bullish on both pairs, bearish on USD. So I am looking for these guys to turn around and start heading back in the opposite directions. New Zealand dollar as well looks similar to Aussie dollar, but the pullbacks haven't been that great. So in terms of the risk reward, it's not as good as I wanted it to. But as we can all see, the price is being pretty consistent with these high lows. There's a nice trend line connecting the dots here, running through the market. And as we approach the high here, potentially even come back to retest the high there on the left as well. There's a nice area of confluence here, especially intraday. I would suggest maybe on the hourly chart. Some nice entries could arise there maybe this afternoon. For a push back into the swing high here, at least, we could go a lot further as well. New Zealand dollar is in a similar situation to Aussie dollar in terms of coming back into a really big weekly level of support where potentially we could bounce a lot further, perhaps coming back to retest some structure there around 0.587. There's still room to the upside. I think price might be testing a low here, or might have just about tested that low there. So that could be something to keep an eye out from, which is why just looking to trade it back to the high could be a good call. But if you are looking to stretch the trade a little bit further, there are some areas up higher which you could look to target. But overall, for New Zealand dollar, this is a really nice place for some longs at the moment. Things do look very bearish, so we need to wait for market to slow down, provide some rejection, and then look to shift. But right now, nothing quite there yet. In terms of gold, I'm pretty sure hasn't really done too much yet. So it's still relatively flat gold. At one point, it did look like price was going to break to the upside. But I mean, it did kind of break to the upside, but it just not really confidently. And that's the main thing I've been getting at with gold. I want to see price really push to the upside and really commit. If it doesn't commit, then it's not going to give me much confidence to be getting into any longs. Again, 3K is a big psychological level, and I do expect gold to eventually get there, whether we get there in the next couple of days or we might go through a bit of retracement before we do make that move. But I do still expect a lot more upside for gold. Overall, still very bullish. If I'm going to get some longs, it's because price is going to give us a confident break of this level at some point, and then we can start to look for some pullbacks. The more it consolidates like this, the less attractive gold is. And it still might be bullish, but I need that clean breakout. Something like what we got here. Really nice breakout, really nice breakout, really nice breakout. You see the momentum there. That tells me that, okay, the trend is very much still up. The buys are still very much in control. And pullbacks look good at that point. When it's like this, it's kind of like 50-50. Are we going to break up? Are we going to break down? Difficult to say. So I'm waiting for that momentum to reinstate that bullish trend again, and then we can start to look for some pullbacks. But at the moment, gold not looking very attractive. Silver saw some downside yesterday, I'm pretty sure as well. I've been looking to buy silver, but again, haven't got a clean setup for this one. And we've got that daily level, which price is kind of just messing around at right now. I would still say it could still be a retest of this level because we did get that breakout last week. This potentially could be the retest of the level, but it's not clean. I was looking for price to hold this level on the 4-hour chart, which it did break underneath yesterday, which was a little bit annoying because I was hoping price could hold that support, continue to the upside, and I could look for the next pullback afterwards. But we've broken through. But like I said, on the daily chart, still looks like we're sitting above some support there. So if we can respect that on the daily chart, there could actually be some nice follow through the next coming days. I'm still looking for a push back to the high, but I need to see if price can well and truly respect this as support. If we can see a bullish close, a strong bullish engulfing candle today or tomorrow or whenever from this level, then the next few days could be very bullish, and that could be something to keep an eye out for. But right now, not much to report on for silver. I'm still overall bullish, but nothing quite there just yet. And yeah, that's kind of really where I'm at with the USD. Still overall bearish bias, but I do fancy some retracement for the dollar. So looking for some temporary strength. But I'm mainly looking to attack the sells here with the DXY. What's up, Lighton? Welcome to the stream. Hope you are well. Hope you are doing good. Welcome, welcome. Yep, I just went through dollar CAD and Aussie dollar. Let me know if you caught the analysis. What's up, Manzondi? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Paul still waiting for the yen pairs to short. Patience is so hard, though. Yeah, again, patience is a very, very important aspect of trading. And if it was easy, everyone would be patient. Everyone would be patient, but unfortunately, that's not the case. We'll go through some yen pairs though. Ian, welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Yes, I just did some analysis on gold. Hopefully, you caught it. Do you enter the 4 hour or go down time frames for enter sniper? No, I enter on the 4 hour chart. I used to enter on the hourly, but I enter on the 4 hour now. Preferably, it helps to slow things down, and it means that I have to be at the charts a little bit less as well, because with the hourly time frame, you can potentially get an entry, every hour candle close. With the 4 hours, can be every 4 hour candle close, which is 6 times a day, which is a lot less than potentially 24. Of course, I'm not looking to trade all the 24 hours, but still entries can come whilst I'm sleeping. But at least with the 4 hour chart, I'm a bit more focused on the entry closes. And it allows me to kind of be a little bit more relaxed with the trades, have slightly bigger targets, bigger stop losses. So I'm not as vulnerable to news events as well. So no, I don't drop to the lower I don't drop lower than the 4 hour chart for entries. Okay, so I'll go through some of the indices. Okay, cool. Nice. Sam FX, welcome to the stream. Yes, we'll go for Euro Yen as well. Actually, I'll go for that one first. Then I'll go through some indices after as well. That's a good point as well, Paul. The lower time frames you get more fluctuation, more noise. Higher the time frame, less noise, less fluctuation. So it's a little bit easier to digest the price action, find entries, and take opportunities. Not to say that low time frames you can't do that. It's just you're going to get more of it. Yeah, that's all really. In terms of Euro Yen, let me know what you're looking for in that one. Again, still very bearish on Euro Yen. However, we are attacking support right now, so it doesn't really make too much sense to be looking to short right now. That is definitely my bias, but as we can see here on the daily chart, massive level of support. So I'm expecting this to break, and I'm expecting to see a lot more downside past this point. I'm still looking at a really impressive head and shoulder pattern here on the daily chart / weekly. So I do expect this to break and the floodgates to open, but it's about making sure that you're waiting for the right time to take a trade. Right now, would be very aggressive to take any sells. If anything, some buys actually could make sense as we approach support. There could be another reaction to the upside. Price might want to go put another lower high in before coming and breaking through support. We've been pretty consistent with these lower highs. One over there, second, third, fourth. Could see another one, a fifth, and there could be some nice temporary buys to take that to the upside before we come back down again. I'm not interested in buys myself. I'm only looking to short. As I suggested yesterday, I like this area here. So if price can have that move to the upside, that would be fantastic. I can look for another lower high to take advantage of. If not, then I'm waiting for price to break the support level, the neckline, and look for some opportunities on the underneath, because as I said, I don't really want to be looking to short directly into such a strong daily level of support. There's multiple tests of this area. This is clearly a level on the daily which Euro Yen is not messing around at. So I do expect it to break, however, but I need price either to push away from the level, catch a high, and then short it back down towards the level, or just break through and look for some opportunities on the back of that. As I said, if you are looking to buy Euro Yen, it's in a nice place for it. A few wicks to the downside, showing strong signs of rejection. So there is a good chance we do have a bounce, but I'm only really focused on the sells here. So I'm expecting a lot more downside for euro yen. Let me go through the indices quickly because I did, so I was going to go through them. So in terms of US 30, I believe we did see a bit more downside for the indices yesterday. I was talking about some pullbacks for this one, but didn't really have much of a pullback for the indices yesterday. I was talking about the retest of this area for some shorts. Didn't quite see that happen. We saw a little bit of upside, but the market fell over. I don't think we even came back to retest this area yet. Even missed that level there too. So a lot of momentum last week for the indices, really big drops, and I do fancy more of the same for the indices, really. We'll go through some of the others in a moment. I still like the opportunity here for the short as well. Should we see that pullback, some nice areas of price support, which will be turn resistance. Really strong momentum. One big drop, correction, second big drop there as well. So it looks like we're seeing some force with these sellers. Overall, US 30 is still very bullish, so I wouldn't be looking to try and short these indices for a long period of time. It will be more of a intraday opportunity, short it back into the prior low, then get out really, because we could see that bullish trend kick in at any point, to be honest, and just continue to fly to the upside. So be very, very careful of that opportunity. But since we are breaking the floor very aggressively, we've left behind some really nice areas to retest. I think that looks like a nice short. But I would probably look to see if I can enter on a lower time frame and then target the low here and then call it a day. Same thing with the NAS as well. That one had a nice continuation. Didn't really see much of a pullback. I was talking about the retest of this area, but yeah, just didn't see much of a pullback at all. Just a couple of bullish candles and price was on its way. So again, with the NAS, as I zoom out, overall the market is still very, very bullish. So to me, yeah, to me, the market is still very, very bullish. So I'm expecting a lot more of the same in general, but we are falling pretty aggressively here. So in terms of US 100, I mean, I'm not seeing a concrete place to buy until we get back down here. So I probably wouldn't be looking for longs, especially since we are breaking through support here as well. In terms of the shorts, I mean, that was a nice area. I like the consolidation here as well. That could still provide a nice short opportunity. Again, just being very careful with the shorts here. Don't want to stay on them for too long, just in case we do see the continuation of the trend and the market keeps pushing to the upside. But in terms of longs, I probably wouldn't look for any until we get down here, or unless the market starts creating some new support very well, then we might speak about that in a few days' time. But at the moment, if we keep free falling, this is the only level that makes sense for at least a bounce. In terms of the longs, yeah, pullback to intraday look good. There's still a lot of momentum to the downside and probably still see some follow through. In terms of the S&P, I think we've had pretty much the same as well. Yeah, more downside. I was looking for the retest of this area. But again, the market was just way too bearish. So S&P, NAS, US 30 all saw some downside, but momentum was just a little bit too strong for us to see the pullbacks I was mentioning. It still would be nice to see if price can get there, but yeah, doesn't look like we will. I said it would be nice for a pullback into that level, some shorts back down, and potentially some longs and double bottom. But it looks like price is breaking through that support there as well. So with S&P breaking through support there too, I think that's quite critical actually, because we've been very consistent with these higher lows here with S&P, and now that we're breaking through the lows there, I think that's a bit of a sign to be a bit worried about. Again, I'm not necessarily expecting us to capitulate like that, but it's a sign that we're failing to hold support now, which is something we haven't done for a while. So with S&P, again, I think shorts do look good. If we go to the hourly chart, it would be nice if price was to come back into this area here. That's what a lot of momentum started from yesterday. Pull back into that zone would be nice. Again, the retest of this area would be nice as well. But I think this is a bit more realistic in terms of the opportunity. So I would be looking at something like that. We do have support down here, which looks like prices gunning towards. That probably would be the next best target for S&P. I still wouldn't be looking to change the bias overall. Overall, still very bullish. But we are starting to see some support break, which is a bit of a red flag. and it might mean that we do have a bit more downside to expect. So yeah, S&P, Nas, US 30, all looking pretty bearish. I think intraday shorts look really, really good. Long term, there's still very much question marks there. We haven't really broken any major support for either of them. So I'm not necessarily long term bearish. I'm still very much long term bullish. But intraday, intra-week, you probably find some nice shorts there on some pullbacks. So indices, yep, looking pretty bearish. What's up, CS Integrated? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. DXY not bullish at the moment. Can you make the like button bullish? Appreciate that, CS Integrated. If you guys are during the stream, please be sure to hit the like button. It does really help out. I do really appreciate that. But yeah, I appreciate that, CS Integrated. What's up, Emmanuel? Welcome to the stream. Hope you are doing good. Greetings. Yes, we will take a look at pound yen for you. No problem. Paul, watching Swiss yen. Okay. It may fall to 165. Okay, I'll take a look at some of the yen pairs. But yeah, I have a very similar bias to that. But I'll go through pound yen first. What's up, Alex? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Good morning. So pound yen, again, overall, I'll just talk about my longer-term bias quickly. Still looking at a push back to the wick low here. So that's what I'm expecting for pound yen, 180.212. Expecting a push longer term to that area. The idea is that we had that big drop in July. I'm looking at this as a correction of that, and I'm expecting follow through in that direction. So until I see some glaring signs that the direction is up, I'm expecting a lot more downside for pound yen. So dropping to the 4-hour chart, I'm looking to sell. However, I don't really have a good sell opportunity just yet, at least on the 4-hour chart anyway. Again, similar to euro yen, we're approaching major support. If we look to the left, where are we trading? Back support. So despite my bearish bias, now is not the best time to be looking to do anything in terms of at least shorting anyway. If you're looking at longs, we might be coming to a nice support level there for a bounce. So I'm bearish on pound yen, expecting more downside. In terms of an opportunity, as I was hinting to yesterday, I would really like to see a breakthrough support here and then look for opportunities on the flip, because at least at that point, I know that, okay, the bears are very much in control. Why? Because we're breaking support very aggressively. And two, we're maintaining these lower highs as well. One over there, second over there. Perhaps you might get some trendline confluence. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Perhaps we might get some trendline confluence, although might see a much bigger pullback for that. But at least I do have a continuation of this bearish structure, which is exactly what I want to see as a bear. And then pullbacks, maybe even slightly deeper, maybe to retest that low. But the idea is I'm expecting a lot more downside for us to take out this wick low. So in terms of an opportunity to short pound yen on my time frame, the 4-hour chart, nothing quite there yet. Coming into bullish territory, now's not the time to be looking to short. Intraday, if I drop to the hourly chart, it's getting a little bit choppy, to be honest. This looks like it's forming a bit of consolidation here on the hourly. I mean, it might break to the upsides, come test some areas up here to put another lower high and then come back down. That could be something to look at, probably on maybe the 30, 50-minute chart to look at. Right now it's consolidating, so I'll stay away from that noise. But this could be something to keep an eye on. Yeah, but it's not looking particularly great, to be honest, I would say. I mean, high time frames, yes. Low time frames, not quite as good. And that's what we're kind of depending on for the entries. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with pound yen. I'll go take a look at Swiss yen next. Depends on if HPI goes up or down. Mean dollar goes up or down. Let me have a look at the news. What news do we have today? Okay, so we've got new home sales at 3 o'clock for US. Again, not really something I pay too much attention to. It doesn't really move the market much. although sometimes it does, but most of the time, very rarely does move much. We've got GDP tomorrow. So yeah, if home sales, yeah, if it's higher than expected, it'll be bullish for the USD. So if it's up, it should be bullish. If it's down, it'll be bearish. So if it's good, it will be bullish for USD. Again, the thing is, that's the reaction as well. There'll be times where it will be the exact opposite, and it might get bullish later on as well, which is why trading the reaction is always not the best thing to do. If you're looking to trade the news, you're looking to trade potentially for the next week, not necessarily the moment, because the moment things can be the opposite of what you're expecting, and then it might correct itself later on. So you always have to be careful of that. Appreciate it, RT Creative Hub. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you guys are joining the stream, please be sure to drop a like. It does really help out the stream. Alex Gold, US 30 NAS. We just had a look at US 30 and NAS. I'll go through quickly and we'll take a look at gold as well. I'll go through CHF JPY and I'll take a look at some of those requests, and then I'll go through the rest of the MPES together. So CHF JPY, I'm pretty bearish on it as well. Paul, you're looking at fall to 165.280. Let's mark that on the chart. 165.280 is approximately ish over there. So you're looking for a bit more downside into that low. What's your opinion? Fall a little more than that. I mean, I'm expecting a lot of downside. It looks like you're probably looking at the low there of that wick. I very much agree. I'm expecting a lot more downside for CHF JPY. I do think we're going to hit your targets and go a lot further as well. So I'm expecting a lot more downside. However, again, we're coming into support, so it's always a little bit of a difficult time to be shorting. Of course, hindsight is a wonderful thing, but as we have our retracements, these are the times to short. Of course, whether it fits your plan or not, you can find an entry. That's a different question. But when the market does pull back up, those are the times you want to be looking to try and take it back down again. Right now, as we approach support, we might go and break through, but we might have a bounce as well. And that kind of uncertainty is always a little bit difficult if you're a seller. This is technically bullish territory. And for me, it would only make sense to be looking to buy here. If you don't have a bullish bias, then it's a time there you want to kind of back away. But I do expect to see more downside. Again, on the daily chart, I'm looking at a really big head and shoulder pattern as well. Again, let's not forget, Swiss yen is at all-time highs as well. So this one is especially due a correction, and I'm expecting a lot more follow through. So yeah, I do agree with you. I do expect us to get to that low. How we get there is a different question, though. Is price going to pull back up again? Maybe form another lower high, then push down, or are we going to drop straight away? Again, that's the question. In terms of just being, smart, logical in terms of entries, I'd wait to see if we can push up again, because I don't want to be shorting directly into support. I suppose if you're on the lower time frames, you might get away with some shorter term sell opportunities, but still, you probably wouldn't want to take it back to 165.280 because you'd be betting on the break of that level, especially if you've got like a stop loss on like the 15-minute chart, you will be vulnerable. A pushback to support, though, makes a lot of sense. Take your profit there, onto the next position. But yeah, I do agree. But I'm looking at something like that to happen first. Okay, so I'll go through the indices quickly. Gold, we'll take a look at Euro Aussie, Pound Aussie as well. What's up, eStream? Hope you're doing good. Welcome. No problem, Anzondi. If you go to my FX book, and go to my FX book, economic calendar, there are other news sites you can look at as well. But if you click on the news event itself, it will explain to you what the news event represents and what should happen if a number is high or a number is low as well. So you can read up on different news events there as well. And I'm pretty sure if you go to FX Street or Forex Factory, you'll find the same information as well. But happy to help, my man. Okay, so I'll quickly go through gold, US 30, and NAS. So as I mentioned for gold, just very chaotic price action. Looks like we're just moving sideways on this level. It was a really nice level resistance. Last week, price was respecting well. Now we're kind of just up and down, up and down. So we're not really doing either. We're not really breaking through, not really respecting it well. So very difficult to gauge gold right now. All I can say is that we're lacking momentum. At the moment, it's still very much a comfortable uptrend, but it's an uptrend which is showing signs of tiring. So if we are going to continue and still thrive in this trend, I do want to see a strong break to the upside, as I've been saying, and we can look for breaking retest of the level or potentially a breaking retest of the high here that price is creating there as well. So that could end up being a nice position there, maybe on the hourly chart or 30-minute chart. Either which way, if this trend is going to continue, because it's such a strong trend, we want to see a confident break of the high, like we got over here. Price was struggling to break resistance. Then we got a strong break. Then we got continuation. Likewise over here as well. Oh, completely missed it. Likewise here as well. Really strong break. Nice continuation. Nice break there as well. Nice break there as well. Even there as well. So these are signs that the trend is still strong and the trend is still attacking to the upside. If we start fading at the highs, moving sideways like we're doing now, it's not really a good sign. So maybe this afternoon, maybe some news comes out and gold is very, very bullish. And pullbacks will look good after that. And 3K would be imminent. But at the moment, I'll stay away from gold until I see that evidence come back into the market. US 30, I do have a short-term bearish outlook for this one. Again, long-term, everything is still very bullish. We haven't taken out any key structure yet for me to have that bearish bias, but we have broken through some 4-hour levels, and we've done it with a lot of momentum as well. Really strong, powerful 4-hour candles left behind some really nice support, which will be turning resistance. So I like the sell opportunities here intraday. I would keep it pretty simple. Just take it back to where you came from. I wouldn't look for any longer term move just in case the market puts that higher low in and we turn bullish, because I expect that to happen at some point. But something like that looks pretty good to me. So I was talking about this area here yesterday. Didn't quite see that happen, but this area here looks just as good. So keep an eye on both of those levels. In terms of NAS, NAS as well, I do like some downside. This one's kept falling. I was talking about this area here yesterday. But yeah, it looks like price was just far too bearish to get that move. So I would keep an eye on this area here as well. Nice consolidation, strong drop to the downside. If price can come back and revisit that zone there too, I think that's a great place for a short. And we can push it back into the prior low. If you're looking to buy NAS, then the only kind of place that makes sense to me is this support down here. Really strong support in the 4-hour chart. There's no other clear-cut level that makes sense, especially when essentially NAS has kind of been sideways for a while, and this is very much the low end of the range. I mean, that was technically the high, but since price is now back below that, this is very much the area I'll be focusing on. So yeah, NAS overall very choppy. I do like the intraday shorts there, but if you're looking to long, I'll wait for us to get back to some strong support again. Okay, so I will go through Euro Aussie, Pound Aussie, then we'll go through some of the yen pairs together. No problem, Paul. Happy to help. It's nice to have someone legit to subscribe and help people out with selling people. That is true. That is very, very true. Yeah, it's especially online. It's not. I mean, yeah, there's good information, there's bad information. And especially as a beginner, it can be very difficult to understand which is which. But as you start to gain experience, you can kind of tell, if you've been led astray. But I'm glad you're finding the streams useful. I'm really glad. In terms of Euro Aussie, So yeah, I did get taken out of this trade here. Price did break back above that level of resistance. This was level of resistance I was shorting from yesterday. Had an entry on this candle here, stops above the high. As you can see, that candle there did take me out of the position. I am still looking to short, but now that we've broken above the zone, I can't be looking for entries anymore, because at that point we could very much see another push back to the upside. The idea was, okay, price broke to the downside initially, broke back above. So it looked like, okay, that was just a big fake out and price is going to continue to the upside. Then we broke back above again, taking out these lows, so creating some nice bearish structure. That is a bit messy. Let me just get rid of that. So we had some nice bearish structure at that point in time. And then, of course, we pulled back into the zone, had a nice rejection. We had some trendline confluence as well. I've been looking for price to give us a push back to the lows here as well. Unfortunately, didn't see price maintain that level of resistance, and we did close back above. So with Euro Aussie, although I'm technically still bearish, but because we're breaking above that support back into the range, it now means I have to back away and stay away, because it might be the situation where we are flipping bullish to see a big push to the upside. So that would definitely put me off getting to any sells, because at least now we're not respecting resistance. So yeah, Euro Aussie, because we're breaking back inside, if we can continue to push and get some pullbacks to retest this is actually a nice bullish opportunity actually to take it back to the upside, perhaps into the high of the range, or at least the high here on the left. Depends, what you're looking for, how far you're looking to take your trades. But if these were two fake outs and that price is going to hold support again, that could be a nice trade to take to the upside. So I'll keep an eye on that breaking me test there for pound Aussie, Euro Aussie. I'm still holding my Aussie CHF position, which is starting to pick up momentum, but overall still got a lot of work to do to get back to the lows. I'm still looking for a push back into this area and to this one, not last week, but the week before Wednesday. Very, very close to taking me out the trade there as well, but price held that confluence. We had that trend line coming through, 1, 2, 3 over there, or at least I'm anticipating a third one. It's not confirmed yet, of course. But price did respect that area. Nice double top. And now we're starting to see some momentum. So let's see if we can get this one back to the lows. The idea is that we're looking for the continuation of the overall trend of the market, which is still very, very bearish. There is some major support here, which I'd watch out for. I'll probably bank some partials, or if it does reject heavily, I may close the trade early, but we'll have to wait and see. And if everything goes very well, then I'll leave some positions to run back to the wick low here, because I do expect us to get there. But I'm only going to leave a small amount, because the negative swaps on this one can add up. And especially because Aussie CHF does take its time to actually get moving. I could get caught in some very ugly consolidation, and yeah, it doesn't make too much sense, especially when you're paying negative swaps. So yeah, Aussie CHF, we'll see how that one does pan out, but starting to pick up some momentum. In terms of pound Aussie, again, this one's looking very bullish as well, breaking to the upside. Looks like Aussie might be a bit weak. And we're seeing a bit of a reaction there. So pound Aussie breaking to the upside. Again, not a big fan of this one, but looks like it's starting to try and make a move to the upside. The only thing I don't like about this is that we're still putting in lower highs and still putting in higher lows. So again, in terms of clarity, in terms of the direction, at least in the 4-hour chart, it's not really that great, because let's say even if we do break to the upside here, we're coming back into an area where price has been putting in lower high after lower high. We could very much do that again and come right back down. So really, for pound Aussie, we're squeezing this wedge pattern. I want price to break out of that. And if we can do that well, so take out this high or break to the downside and take out this low, then the next opportunity after that would be some pullbacks and some continuations. And that would make a load of sense, because at that point, we've actually got some bullish structure or bearish structures to follow. And longer term targets would be either back at the high or probably back at this low here. So this is where probability is in our favor, because at that point, structure is in our favor. And of course, over here, structure will be in our favor. Inside the wedge pattern here, unless you're just looking to short the high of the trend line and buy the low, then I don't really see a really good opportunity there for pound Aussie, to be honest. So I'm kind of just waiting to see how price develops, whether we get the break to the upside or break to the downside. Again, not really too bothered about which way we break out, because Again, as a trader, we can profit in both directions. All I'm looking for really is just a good opportunity, a good breakout, a good pullback, and a good entry signal. Whether that's bullish or bearish, is not necessarily important. I would say, though, if it is a bullish breakout, there might be slightly more confluence there, because if I expand to the higher time frames, overall the market trend is still up. We are in areas where I do think we might turn around eventually, but the trend is still very much up. So in terms of the buys, there's slightly more higher probability, because at least you've got that momentum on your side. Versus the sells, this is still a little bit counter trend. That's the only difference, really. But yeah, pound Aussie, looking for us to break the highs here, and then I will be looking for opportunities on some pullbacks. Otherwise, I'm not a big fan of this kind of wedge situation we've got going on here. Okay, so I'll go through. Can we look at ETC? Oh, BTC. Okay. I thought like ETC or etc. But yeah, I'll go through Bitcoin quickly. Then we'll go through the yen pairs. Happy to help, Philip. Happy to help. I'm glad you're finding the streams useful. If you guys are enjoying the streams, by the way, please be sure to drop a like on the stream. It does really help out. Subscribe to the channel, and of course, hit the bell as well. And I do appreciate everyone who has done that. It really does help out the channel. But yeah, what is going on with Bitcoin? A really aggressive move to the downside this morning. Price is kind of falling off a cliff a little bit. And is this price breaking to the downside, or is this price flushing people out and we're getting ready for a buy? It legit could be either or, to be honest. Until we get that daily candle close, I'm not going to put forward a concrete bias for myself, because just like what we had over here a few weeks ago, where we had a big wick to the downside at one point. I remember on the stream, price was looking very bearish. We're trading somewhere underneath the level, and it looked like price might be breaking to the downside. And of course, if you're breaking support there, that could have been the catalyst for a lot more downside for Bitcoin. But by the end of the day, as we can all see, price pull back up and it closes the doji. So that did a good job at flushing a lot of people out, because there would have been a lot of stop losses just below here. That would have scared a few people, taken out a few positions. And then what happened afterwards? Bitcoin rallied back to the high. This could be the repeat of that. So I'm not gonna rule that out just yet. Price could be doing a good job at flushing some people out of the market underneath this low. Then by the end of the day, we could pull back and see a strong close, and we could be back at the highs in no time. So with Bitcoin, yes, really aggressive momentum, looking a little bit scary right now. But I'm going to wait for the daily candle to close to get that full information, and that will tell me what I could expect, going forward. If price closes very bearish underneath this, then that would look like a breakout. Of course, we could potentially close back above the next day, and that would cancel out. But as long as we stay below, I'm looking at a breakout and a lot more downside back towards 72K. So that could mean a lot more downside for Bitcoin should we close below. If, of course, we pull back and leave a big wick, then we're just as we were, still holding support, still bullish on Bitcoin. And because now we've got the fake out, I'm expecting a push right back to the highs. And maybe now we've got the catalyst, the energy we need for a big breakout as well. So we'll see how we close. We'll report back tomorrow on the stream. If we do close underneath aggressively, then yeah, it would be pretty bearish from Bitcoin. And my targets would be around 73, 74K for the shorts. Pull back above, though, we might see some real follow through. So Bitcoin is in an interesting place. And whilst on the topic, Ethereum. Yeah, Ethereum seeing momentum as well. I mean, Ethereum not quite back at support just yet. So Ethereum's not necessarily doing anything too crazy. Bitcoin is, because it's breaking support right now. Ethereum, yes, we're seeing a lot of momentum, but we're just coming back into support, which we could very much bounce from. If Ethereum was doing this below support, then yeah, that would be a little bit scary. But right now, yes, a lot of momentum, but still major support below us. We'll see how price reacts when we get there. But Bitcoin not looking too good. So we'll see how that closes and report back. Ooh, did not mean to do that. I don't even know what button I pressed for that to happen. So yeah, that's kind of my take on Bitcoin and Ethereum. In terms of the rest of the yen pair, so we did CHF we did pound yen, we did euro yen. Dollar yen, I still do really like to the downside. Personally, I am looking at a setup which is something like this, looking for another lower high in respect to the trend line and then some continuation. I like this area here, really nice support, which we flip resistance. If we can break the low here as well, that would be the icing on the cake. If price can break through structure, then get the pullback, that would be a really, really nice opportunity because this is still a very, very important low. It gave us this new swing high, of course, past this point here on the left. So technically speaking, it's a very important piece of structure. And should it break, it means that, okay, this bullish move here is completely invalidated, and I'll be expecting a very big sell afterwards. There is a really big level of support below us here at 140, which should we break the low here, that's where I next expect us to get to. So it gives more confidence to my shorts. And if I can get some pullbacks into this area, there's a good chance I can find the next lower high and ride that back down, at least to wherever the lows form. Let's say if we push down and pull back from here, yeah, that would be the target for the trade most likely. But I would be looking to try and hold some positions to run back to the low because I do expect a lot more downside. But yeah, dollar yen, I really like the sells for this one. I'll like them even more if we do break through the low here first before the pullback. But the odds of us seeing continuation to the upside are very slim now. We had a lot of momentum over here just for price to sell off on a dime, really. So the chance of us trying to continue the trend is very, very slim anyway. But if we can break the lows, that really makes sure that the buyers, you know, are very unlikely to push the upside, or at least for a sustained move. So yeah, that's really the plan there with dollar yen. Very, very much focused on the shorts. Very bearish across the board for the yen pairs. If you go take a look at Aussie yen, this one's definitely not one of my favorite yen pairs, but I'm very bearish on this one as well, expecting a lot more downside. There is a setup I'm keeping an eye on for, but I doubt I do see that that opportunity there. I would like to see the retest of this area, but it does not look like price is going to get there. Again, we are approaching support here as well, so it does not make sense for me to be looking to short Aussie yen at the moment. 94.600, we'll call it, 500, we'll call it, is a pretty strong level of support here for Aussie yen. So if anything, buys make the most sense. Like I said, I'm not bullish. I'm not looking to entertain any buy opportunities. Only focus on the sells. It would be nice if you could see something like this back into the trend line, back into that high, and then shorts to the downside. But yeah, if we do just break lower, then I expect us to get to this low here, which is at 90.125. So very bearish here for Aussie yen as well. Expecting a lot more downside. I do expect us to eventually take out that low. So if we do break through support here, then I would keep an eye on something like this to fall. If we don't get that opportunity there, then I would look for something like this. But it needs to be a strong breakout. It can't be corrective like we've done previously. I need to see some strong momentum, and then I'll be looking at those type of pullbacks. New Zealand yen as well, similar situation. If we go to the daily chart, looking for us to go and take out this low here at 83.044. I'm expecting a lot more downside for price to take out that wick low. Dropping to the 4-hour charts, I'm looking for us to go and test this area and then get the sell. But again, chance of us seeing that move again pretty slim. We're coming into support right now. I think in terms of just realistically seeing an opportunity, something like this looks a bit looks far more likely to form. But again, and you see a strong break of the low, and you see some momentum. It can't be corrective like we've done previously, because the odds of a breaking me test being successful is a lot slimmer. So and you see price really break through, then I'll look for some shorts afterwards. So the plan here with New Zealand yen, more downside, expecting price to push back into that low there, and then expecting us to really continue. Overall, seeing some really nice lower highs, 1, 2, now looking at a third one. I doubt we'll see that. If this is going to be the number 3 there, if that is the third one there, then waiting for price to break the low and catch the fourth on the retest. But yep, in terms of direction, more downside, expecting that low to be taken. In terms of CAD JPY as well, more of the same, expecting a lot more downside. Again, similar situation with Euro Yen, lovely head and shoulder pattern, but at the moment we're approaching really strong support, which is the neckline of the pattern, so to speak. So again, in terms of shorting, now's not the best time to be doing that, as we're coming into really big levels of support, which I do expect to break, but again, difficult to take any bearish entries, especially on the 4-hour chart where we could see a lot more upside. So again, CAD Yen, where we're trading big support, you can see on the 4-hour chart, we're getting some wicks as well. So it looks like price is starting to exhaust, starting to tire. Perhaps we do go through a bit of a move to the upside there for CAD Yen, which could be a blessing because it might give us an opportunity to short it and catch another lower high on the way back down again. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. But yeah, I don't really have a setup yet. I think the cleanest setup would be if we do just break through support and look for opportunities on the retest of that. That might be the cleanest opportunity because at that point we'll probably have a lot of momentum on the breakout, and we'll just be looking for the continuation of that. In terms of the yen basket, excuse me, the yen basket, again, not really doing too much. It looks like we're trying to break through the high, but yeah, stalling a little bit. Again, with the yen basket, I'm expecting a big move to the upside. I'm looking for a push back into resistance up here. So that's still very much the plan. However, we need to break the high, which we're currently testing right now. And it looks like price is technically breaking through, but not confidently. Again, I've drawn this wick and I've taken it across. It looks like price is stalling at that level quite aggressively. So probably until we take out that level, price will continue to consolidate. And if it continues to consolidate, it's probably going to rate to the downside. So yeah, with yen basket, high time frames, again, pointing to the upside for me as well. In terms of opportunities, again, either we push back down again and perhaps find another higher low, something like this, and then test this trend line again for a 4th time. So we've got one over there, 2nd, 3rd, and potentially a 4th. Maybe retesting this high there too. So there is some nice confluence down there should we see a move like this. But again, if the market is just going to break to the upside, then a retest of that level is probably the best we'll get. So again, in terms of direction, yen basket expecting a lot more upside, but need to wait for some pullbacks. No problem, Sultan. Happy to help. But yeah, that's essentially what I'll be looking at for the yen basket. And again, if the yen basket is pushing to the upside, it means that yen is going to be strong. And if yen is going to be strong, it means that the yen pairs, the yen crosses, of course, going to be falling as well. So whatever the yen basket is doing, the yen pairs will do the opposite. Likewise with the DXY as well. And the USD majors, they'll do the opposite. So yeah, yen basket looks like it's about to push to the upside. We'll keep a very close eye on the buys there. In general, in terms of which yen pairs I'm liking the most, it probably would just be with the break of support for pound and euro yen, because those are testing some really key support. And should we see some healthy breaks of them, I do think the pullbacks will look really good. And hopefully, if there's a lot of momentum, could catch some really big moves there as well. So this is kind of the best I'm seeing, at least in the 4-hour chart, for pound yen, for euro yen as well. These opportunities here, because I know that once these support levels break, we could see a lot more downside. But yeah, a lot of the yen pairs are trading at support right now. So despite having bearish bias, a bearish bias, it doesn't really make too much sense to be shorting or even looking to short right now unless they pull away or they break through and retest. At the moment, if anything, the buys make the most sense, which is something I'm not quite interested in just yet. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for the yen pairs. In terms of the USD pairs, like I said, the XY looking for some retracement, then some more downside. And the best pairs for that right now, I probably would say a dollar CAD, pound USD, if that can pull back, and Aussie dollar as well. Dollar CAD, I'm looking for a slightly deeper pullback for this one to come and test the range and then get the continuation back into the low at 1.415. It looks like we just about tested the low end of it, but I'm looking for price to come a bit deeper so I can get a slightly safer stop loss before I do enter the trade. But in terms of targets, I think I'll just keep it simple. Back into the low. Again, I might look to leave positions to run back to 1.398, which is that big weekly level. But yeah, I think I'll keep it simple back to that low. In terms of pound USD, I like as well, but again, will pound USD see the retracement I'm after? Not too sure. The confidence is there for all to see. Looks like pound USD is retracing, but I wonder, are we having a more intraday retracement, which is, looking at the pullback of this leg here, had some consolidation on the left. Is price going to use that to continue to the upside and not get the bigger pullback? That could be the situation here with pound. So yeah, if that's the case, that's the case. But this is really where the confidence lies, especially in the 4-hour chart. So it would be nice to get a pullback into that area. So pound USD is definitely on the watch list. And Aussie dollar as well looks pretty good. I think Aussie might be a bit weak at the moment. So it looks like this one's had a bit more of a fall than pound at the moment. New Zealand dollar, I think, doing the same thing as well. But again, really nice consolidation, similar setup to dollar CAD. Really strong break to the upside. No retest of it yet. So looking for price to come back, retest that zone around 0.63, then take it back to the high at 0.64. So that's very much the plan there for Aussie dollar as well. New Zealand dollar, the risk reward doesn't look quite good, but I think if you are trading this one on the lower time frames, you might find a nice setup for this one. If I can spell and the USD, there we go. Wrong broker. So if I jump to the hourly chart, you can see actually I'll go to the 4-hour chart. You can see the confluence there. 1, 2, then looking for 1, 2, 3, looking for the third test of the trend line, but fourth higher low in respect to the previous one. This is still a higher low, even though it didn't test the trend line. But looking for a third test, we've got the prior high over here as well, which is potentially going to be acting as support, and a nice consolidation here on the left as well, where we stalled for a little bit before we did see some upside. So essentially, we're coming to a really nice bullish territory with a lot of confluence, and especially on the hourly chart, if price can start to stall down at these lows, provide some wicks, this could be a really nice setup, or maybe the hourly chart even lower if you want to really refine that entry, and targets to take it back into the higher, back to where we came from, makes the most sense. So yeah, pretty bullish on NZD USD. Looks like NZD and AUD are pretty weak. What's up, Yusuf? Good morning. Hope you're well. The only positions I'm in at the moment is Aussie CHF. Like I said, did get taken out of Euro Aussie this morning, but Aussie CHF looks like it picked up the pace with that one. So we're going to hold into this position. Again, I've been in this trade for, okay, yeah, I thought today was Wednesday. Today's Tuesday. So by tomorrow, it would be 2 weeks exactly being in the position. So it's been a very slow grind. But again, that's the 4-hour chart for you. Some trades you'll take, it will go very fast in your direction. And by the next day, you could be in some very decent profit. And there'll be positions where you have to wait 2 weeks just to see a bit of profit. Again, it's not for everyone. If you don't want to sit in trades for that long, then of course the 4-hour chart is probably not for you. And again, nothing wrong with that. It's just there's pros and cons. The lower time frames are good because they're fast paced. You're in and out trades quite quickly. But there's definitely other things you have to consider and be aware of. But yeah, so far going okay. So we'll see if we can get pushed back into the low there. As I said, I will be looking to try and stretch the trade. The possibility for a push back to this low is what made everything, is why I really like the trade, because I always like trades where they have a lot of room to run into. If a trade is kind of capped like at a 1-to-1 or 1-to-2, I will still take those trades. But if there's another position that look like it can fly a lot further, I'd always rather take that trade, because doesn't mean it will get to those big targets, but if it does, it's going to definitely be worth it. And my average risk to reward will benefit for that. It will increase my average risk to reward, which is always a great thing. So with this trade as well, taking into consideration what we're doing on the higher time frames, this is the weekly chart. You can see the overall trend for this pair is very, very much down. So the odds of us continuing to the downside are just very high. So especially if you're a swing trader in this type of market, you want to predominantly focus on sells. Sure, there'll be some counter trend buys, 100%. But if you can find yourself a nice short, there is a good possibility that we do continue to fall, and fall a lot further than you expect it to. So with this position, main target's back at the low, but I will hold positions back to the low if momentum looks good. And if this was like Euro USD or Pound USD or something like that, I may even be a bit more aggressive and just plain out target the low down here. But because it's Aussie CHF, I'm paying heavy negative swaps. It's not heavy, but I know it can add up because it's going to take time to get there. And it can consolidate quite a lot as well. So yeah, this position to get back to those lows could easily take potentially 3, 4, 5 months. And I don't want to be in the trade for that long. If it was positive swap, I wouldn't mind, to be fair, because at least I'm getting paid to hold it. But paying to hold it, especially for it to potentially consolidate and go back up against you, yeah, you might as well just take your profits and get into another trade. So yeah, we'll see how that one goes. That's the only position I'm in at the moment. Like I said, I'm looking at a lot of USD pairs, dollar CAD shorts, pound USD longs, Aussie dollar longs, New Zealand dollar longs. In terms of the other CHF pairs, I'm actually very bearish across the board on the CHF pairs. I have a very similar bias to the CHF pairs as with the yen pairs. We'll go through some CHF pairs now. But again, you can see the CHF pairs with that big drop in July, exact same situation with the yen pairs. So if I go over to Aussie yen, for example, this is Aussie CHF. Now this is Aussie yen. We got the same drop in July as well. If we go take a look at pound JPY, big drop in July there as well. CAD JPY, big drop in July. And if you look at CAD CHF, big drop there in July as well. So the pattern happened, well, not necessarily the pattern, the event really happened across the board with the yen pairs, but across the board with the CHF pairs. And because the CHF pairs and the yen pairs do tend to move alike, not all the time, but in general, they do normally move in the same direction. I'm expecting follow through on the yen pairs and follow through on the CHF pairs as well. So I'm expecting the CHF pairs to eventually come back to these wick lows. Expecting Aussie CHF to eventually come back to this wick low down here. Expecting New Zealand CHF to come back to this wick low down there as well. So I'm very bearish across the board for the CHF pairs. But I was never going to enter multiple CHF pairs until I can get Aussie CHF to break even, because I'll just be doubling my risk unnecessarily. I might as well just go and add more risk to Aussie CHF. But if I can get Aussie CHF to break even, then I'll be back on looking for other pairs on the CHF side of things to trade. New Zealand CHF gave me an entry the same time with Aussie CHF. Actually, no, it was a week later, sorry. Aussie CHF and New Zealand CHF gave me an entry a week later, which was over here. Really nice entry. Stops above the high, and would be seeing some really nice profit now with this one. But I was already trading Aussie CHF, so again, no need to jump into another New Zealand, another CHF pair. But again, with this one, where do I expect this one to go? Like I said, right back down to the wick low down here. This is what I'm expecting us to eventually get to. But of course, you'd probably be looking at securing some profit at this low first, perhaps even this low here as well. But I do expect that to happen. Pound CHF was what I was looking at as well. But again, decided not to trade it because I'm in Aussie CHF. But this one came back to the high end of the range here. Again, I'm looking for the continuation of this massive drop in July. So again, looking at this as a correction for a big continuation, and looking to try and short the high of the range. We've got a nice entry up here as well, which would be in a bit of profit. Hasn't moved that well. But again, the risk reward on this is huge for a push all the way down to the low there. That's more than a 1 to 10. So again, the thing is, when you have big risk rewards like this, yes, there's sense to it. You're looking for the continuation of that move. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done for you to get that 1 to 11.32. So if you want to manage the trade, you might have multiple targets. For example, really big support there. You might want to close a good chunk there. Might want to close a decent chunk there as well and leave the rest to run. So instead of holding the whole way to 11.32, which is not necessarily a bad idea, because if it gets it, you make 11.32R, but it does leave you pretty vulnerable because at any point within that trade, price could just form a low and then goes against you. You know, there's nothing guaranteeing us to get there. We could move 90% of the way just for it to miss. So, yeah. And especially with a pair which would be paying negative swap on, you know, it makes sense to book partials. But also that pound CHF did look good. But like I said, I was trading on CHF, so I was focused on that one as well. But if Aussie CHF can get break even, perhaps I might catch a nice break and we test something like this to trade maybe in the next couple of weeks. Okay, no problem, Lighton. Happy to help, my man. NQ, okay. KFA will take a look at that for you, no problem. Yusuf, please, what do you think of the long position on gold 29.34 on the 15-minute? Okay, well, I'll have a look at that as well. Again, gold's been consolidating quite a lot, so probably not going to like it, but we'll see. I haven't actually looked at gold on the 15-minute chart, so it might look a little bit better. I'll go through NASDAQ quickly first, and then I'll take a look at gold for you. So NASDAQ, as I mentioned, also let me know what timeframes you guys are working on as well, just so I can be a bit more help, because I don't know if you're intraday or if you're looking at a longer term swing, so let me know. But in terms of what I'm looking at in the 4-hour chart and a bit of intraday as well, in terms of the longs for NAS, the only level that does make sense to me would be this level here at 27.50. If we get pushed back to that low, I think that's a nice place for a bounce and where we could see a lot of upside from. In terms of the sells for NAS, which I do like the look of as well, because we've seen some really heavy momentum over the past couple of days. I do like the opportunity for some shorts around 21,600 as well. I think that's a nice place to take some shorts. And we can expect to see potentially a pushback down here. Now, I wouldn't want to hold the trade that far. Again, NAS 100 is still very much a bullish market in higher time frame. So taking any sells is still deemed counter trend, even with the momentum we're seeing. So you always want to be a bit more conservative when you're shorting an indice, especially in a bullish climate. So a retest of that area would look good, perhaps on the hourly time frame. I'll keep it relatively simple with targets back into the prior low, call it a day, or even somewhere before that could make sense. If you're looking to buy, then I would wait for us to hit major support, which is back at 2,800. That's the only place that makes sense for some longs to me. Essentially, NAS 100 is ranging. Highs, lows, were up and down. So best place to buy of a range is right at the bottom of it. So that's where I'd focus my efforts. Okay, I'll take a look at the long position on gold. No problem, Sultan. Happy to help. So gold on the 15, you're looking for a buy Let me just clear that out of the way. So 15-minute looking for a buy. Wow, 15-minute looks pretty chaotic. This looks like a range to me. Equal highs, equal lows. So not a big fan of the market structure, I must say. No problem, KFA. Happy to help. Okay, long position 29.34. 29.34, which is about here. I know it's not spot on, but it's close. So 29.34 on the 50 minutes. Yeah, I'm not a big fan, to be honest. And it's purely because of the consolidation. It's purely because of the consolidation. There is no kind of clarity in terms of momentum and direction. So it's not that price can't bounce from 29.34 and see the move you're looking for. But in terms of probability, it's just kind of a big mess, really, with gold. There's no kind of momentum to the buyers. There's no kind of even clarity with the bullish structure as well. I mean, you might be able to make out something here as well, but you're clutching straws. It's not very concrete in terms of the market structure. So I definitely would hold back in terms of looking for longs. If price was to go and break through the highs here, now that would be something useful because that would show to us, okay, the buyers are back in control, and some pullbacks after that could look very good. Of course, we'll see how the breakout forms, how we pull back. So there'll be a lot of variables that could change, but at least in this situation, we know that, okay, there's a lot of buyers in control of the market, and we know the higher time frame trend is still bullish. So buyers make sense in that regard. But inside the range, especially in the middle as well, is where you get the most fluctuation and the most amount of noise, and where you're going to be most vulnerable to getting wicked out on a random wick and seeing price, take you out of a trade just to push you in direction. So if you're looking to get involved with gold, I would either wait to see if price can push back to the low end of the range at 29.20, or break the high and then look for opportunities and some pullbacks afterwards. Those are the opportunities that do make sense to me. Buys in here is just very, very tricky and no man's land a little bit. Again, I'm not saying that your trade won't work out, because at the end it's probabilities. You could close your eyes and click buy and come back in an hour and be in profit. So I don't have a crystal ball that will tell you that this trade is can be profitable or not. All I can judge is the location of where you're buying. What's the current situation of the market, and looking at those things, I wouldn't say it's the most optimal place for a buy, based on where we're located and based on how the market's moving. So yeah, as I mentioned, if we can break the high, well, then yes, buys will make sense. Or if we do push back into the low end of the range, then I would look for opportunities there. In the middle is just where there's so much chaos. So yeah, with gold, even as I mentioned, the 4-hour chart as well, structure is just a little bit choppy right now. The overall trend is very much bullish, comfortably bullish to the upside, but we are seeing signs that gold is running out of steam a little bit and perhaps might go through retracement. Again, the emphasis is on the word might. If you do go and break the high this afternoon, let's say, then yeah, we're back bullish again, and I'll be looking at some pullbacks for some continuations. And we've got 3K, which is just a very big psychological level, which is just above our heads, which I do think we'll probably go and get a retest of. So gold still very bullish, still looking for buys in general, but you can see we're having a really tough time trying to break the high here. So we need to go and clear that out the way first. Then we can look at some pullbacks and some more upside. But until that happens, I'll be very, very careful of that. Silver's kind of in a similar situation as well. I always keep a close eye with silver as I do with gold, both of them together, because if one of them is bullish, most likely the other one will be bullish, and vice versa as well. And normally, if there's a good setup on gold, there's normally a good setup in silver. And I try and choose between the two which one's a little bit better in terms of the risk reward or the entry. But most of the time they do the same thing. And to me, it looks like silver's having a little bit of trouble as well. So gold still very bullish, but having trouble at the highs. Silver bullish, but having trouble at this level here, which is a really big level of resistance. So I want price to well and truly break through this and start to hold it as support so I can look for some entries. I'm looking to target a push back into the high there, but I need price to start respecting that level of support on the daily chart. Otherwise, I don't really see a opportunity here to trade. So if we can see price start to respect this, fire some wicks, see some bullish engulfing candles, then I'll be looking for some entries and some trade opportunities. Otherwise, I'll leave prices going. And if you do break back underneath like this, then this would look like another big fake out. And then I'll be expecting something like this to happen for silver, which is not something I'm really interested in at the moment. I'm still pretty bullish on silver, only looking really for longs here. So if you do break underneath, to be honest, if the setup does look good, I will still entertain the idea. It's just the bigger move, I'm still expecting it to be back to the highs. But if it's a good opportunity, if it fits the plan well, and I see a healthy entry signal, I probably will look to take the trade. But I know that in terms of confluence, in terms of the overall direction of the market, if we zoom out, you can see we've been trending to the upside for a while. So predominantly I want to be focused on buys, not really sells, especially a market like silver, which I know long term is most likely going to go higher as well. It's a bit like gold. Don't really want to sell gold. Sure, there will be opportunities to short it. I don't really want to sell gold. I don't really want to buy it. Like with the indices too, not to the same extent, but it's like with the indices. You don't really want to sell it, especially as a swing trader. You kind of only want to be looking to buy the indices. And silver's in that same boat. So yeah, let's see if we can hold support. Hopefully by this time tomorrow, we have a nice wick there and maybe a bullish engulfing candle on the daily chart. Then we can start talking about some buys back into resistance. In terms of some of the crosses and some of the CAD pairs, haven't really talking much about them. Haven't really had much opportunity, to be honest, especially with the CAD pairs. Yeah, they've been incredibly flat, some range bound as well. I mean, I've seen some people look and trade pound CADs the past few days, but for me, it's just been really, really flat. We've got some equal highs up here as price is trying to create some new highs, trying to break resistance, but failing to do so. And we've got some support here, which of course price has done the same thing, respected support pretty well, and we push to the upside. Overall, pound CAD is in a really nice bullish trend. However, we are struggling at the highs quite aggressively. Once, twice, a third time, and a fourth time, price is trying to break through, but has failed. So yes, the trend is still up, but we're definitely hitting a level where things are starting to struggle. So if we are going to continue to the upside, I want to see price give us a very strong break of the resistance, and then that will show, okay, buyers are back in control. Trend is still bullish again, expecting more of the same. If we respect the high again, then of course, most likely going to come straight back down and probably continue this range, perhaps back into support again this time. But I wouldn't touch where price is now. We're not trading at a big level or big area of confluence right now. We're just below major resistance. So I'll wait for us to get to that level. Then we can investigate to see how price is looking. Are we bouncing? Are we firing wicks? Are we breaking through? And that will give us solid information of what we can expect next from pound CAD. But until we get there, I'm not going to speak too much about price because, again, in here is where the noise is. I want price to be at the high or at the low. Then I can make some educated guesses of what we can expect for pound CAD. What's up, Darkshon? Good morning. Hope you are well. Oh no. I hope you're doing good. I can still hold the phone to type. Damn, man, that is that sounds crazy, man. I hope you're doing well. And yeah, I think you got bigger things to focus on than how GJ is doing today. But yeah, I hope you're well, and I hope you get better soon. That is crazy. But in your honor, I will have a look at GJ. Damn, that is crazy, man. That is absolutely crazy. I hope you're well. But yeah, in terms of GJ though, I think it's probably best that you probably take a little bit of a break from trading, to be honest, because price action for GJ is not looking too great. We'd be kind of being a bit flat. It looks like we're kind of ranging here, um, just above that 4 hour support level. So let me actually use the line tool there. So it looks like we're kind of just ranging here. So I think taking a bit of a step back from GJ is probably a good point. I mean, there might be some nice shorts at the high here as we come back into resistance. So that could be something to look at as well. But I don't think you're missing too much in terms of a big move or a big sell off. I still like the area up here, which I was pointing at to yesterday. If pound yen can make a move into this area here, I feel like that would be a nice place for a short, because of course that's where a lot of momentum came from last week. So as we can see, we consolidated, really strong drop to the downside. So this would be a nice place to short from at 190. But other than that, it's just very sideways. So I think that would be a nice place for a short. Back at the high end of the range. If price can reject that well, might catch a nice reaction, even to the 50% of the range. I think would be a nice place to short into as the fib that we are. So if I measure from the low to the high, so that would be a nice place to short into the 50%, and then perhaps if things look good, you can leave the rest to run to the opposite end of the range. Other than that, I like this area here. As I said, a lot of momentum came from there. Some highs here. Price might want to go and manipulate those highs first before we get a drop. So I think 190 is definitely a place to look at, especially when we zoom out and look at the fact that we are still putting these major lower highs, one over there, second, third, fourth, and perhaps a fifth over there as well. And then we might see a nice follow through to the downside. So still overall looking at lower highs here for pound yen. We're still seeing consistency in that, and we're still seeing a lot of momentum to the downside. Really nice drop once, twice, and a third time. So that still does tell me that the overall momentum, the overall direction of the market is still down, still making lower lows and lower highs. But in terms of a nice play for a short, it would have to be 190. Nice consolidation, nice drop. I think that's the best place. Like I said, this also looks good, but I don't. Yeah, I'm always a little bit iffy about shorting the higher ranges, just because it's a sign that momentum is dried out. I want to be shorting where momentum is good and where it's free flow. But I'm still expecting us to go and hit this support level here on the 4 hour chart at 187.5. I'm still expecting us to get there. So we might push up first before we see that follow through, but I'm still looking at 187.5 for pound yen. Overall, very bearish on the market. Still looking for us to get there. So the higher time frame bias for pound yen hasn't changed whatsoever. Still very bearish. Lower time frames, however, looking a little bit more choppy these days. So need price to kind of pick up the pace a little bit, and that's kind of the same thing for a lot of the yen pairs. So hopefully we can see some movement. Forexify, what is up? Hope you're well. What do you think about New Zealand CAD? Yes, I will have a look at that one for you. No problem. No problem, Yusuf. Happy to help. Dog shit in pain. Okay. Okay, that is good. That is good. That is good. I'm glad. That's well, to be fair, the fact you had to go emergency surgery means that it was still pretty bad, to be honest. But I'm glad whatever it is. Hope you're doing okay now. But yeah, that is pretty scary, man. That is pretty scary. But yeah, you're gonna be sore, you're gonna be in pain for a while, especially with off the back of a surgery. So yeah, I think it's best to probably take some time off the charts. The market's not going anywhere. That's the beautiful thing about the markets. They're not going to go anywhere. They're still right there, waiting for you to get back to your usual self before you get back on the charts again. But yeah, probably a few days in bed for you. But hopefully you are good. It sounds like you are, so that is good to hear, my man. Okay, I'll go through New Zealand CAD for Forexify. So yeah, New Zealand CAD. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of New Zealand CAD either. Again, it is a bit more of a ranging pair as well. So not particularly great. We did break out of that channel, which was great when it did happen. And we did see some nice downside. I was looking for us to basically get back to this prior low here. Unfortunately, didn't quite see that happen. We got about 95% of the way there before price decided to turn around. And I've been still be looking for us to get there, but we've been losing momentum and it's just getting ugly in terms of finding clean short opportunities. I did mention this trend line here, which price was respecting pretty well. Once, yeah, almost twice there. We did well over there, and we had a nice reaction a couple of weeks back. However, since that's happened, price kind of dried up momentum. We did see a nice reaction, but we haven't really seen the follow through there to get back to the low and get back to the daily low, which I just mentioned there. So with New Zealand CAD, it looks like price is trying to break out the trend line, but it's having a tough time. I mean, technically it did, but looks like we're looking to come back within. So New Zealand CAD, I don't really have a clear sell setup right here. You can try and short here because okay, we're still respecting the trend line, so stops above the high. It does make sense, but it's not clean. Technically, when I'm looking to short a trend line, it's because price has come back after creating a new low. So if I draw a channel, let's say price is in a channel trend to the downside. When I'm shorting a lower high, it's because price has made a new low, not price has made kind of like a weird high low and coming back into the trend line. That's always a little bit more awkward taking this short here, which is kind of what price has done there. So with New Zealand CAD, as long as we maintain the trend line, I do expect shorts. But because it's not a clean pullback in terms of we create new lows, then had a pullback, like what we did here, new lows, got a pullback, nice rejection. I would stay away from New Zealand CAD for now. But as I said, I still do have a bearish bias. I'm still looking for a push back to the low. If we do break to the upside, so let's say we don't see the continuation and price does break to the upside, then that could give us some nice buy opportunities. Retest of the high here, some pullbacks and some longs. That would look good because at that point, we've completely broken out the channel. We're printing higher lows in now, and retest the high could look good for maybe move back into the high there, which is the prior swing high. So yeah, New Zealand CAD, not a big fan of the sells anymore. I still do have a bearish bias, but again, there's one thing having a bias, one thing having an actual good setup to trade that bias. Don't really see that right now with New Zealand CAD. However, the buys do look good. Should we do break structure to the upside, some retests and pullbacks will look good back into the high on the left there at 0.83. So that's kind of what would look good if we do see some upside for New Zealand CAD for the buys. So hopefully that made sense there for Forexify. Doug Sean. Okay, see you tomorrow, pain meds. Okay, take care, my man. Get some rest. Get some rest. Hopefully see you tomorrow. But yeah, make sure you prioritize your rest. Andrea, pound USD. Okay, we'll have a look. I am bullish on pound USD. I'm not necessarily expecting in terms of go up, do you mean right now or do you mean in general? Right now, it looks like price is trying to make that move. I'm looking at the hourly chart and it definitely is looking quite bullish there, at least in the previous hourly candle. In terms of the setup I'm looking at buys down here. I've got some nice confluence here on the 4-hour chart, really nice level of support and resistance. Once, twice, third time there, but as resistance, of course. Again over there as well. So there's a nice level here where price is very attentive towards. We've come here, respected it a few times, so it's definitely an area where price is respecting. So if we get there again, there's a good chance price can hold that support. And we do have some trendline confluence here as well, looking for the next higher low again for a push back into the high, or at least the high there as well. So pound USD, I am pretty bullish on. If you're talking about like an intraday setup right now, in terms of if pound USD is going to be bullish, it does look like we're forming a bit of a bottom here. As in this pullback is looking like it's forming a bit of a bottom, so we might not see that bigger pullback I'm looking for. We do have some bullish structure here, which looks like we might have just had a pullback for, and now price could potentially push to the upside. So yeah, I would actually say it's come back to a nice area, and things are looking pretty bullish here. Not my trade personally. I'm not on my time frames I'm looking to trade, and not really the setup I'm looking to trade either. Like I said, my setup is a little bit further down, but again, price can still move to the upside before seeing the pullback I'm after. Yeah, it doesn't have to push straight away. No problem, Forex Fire. Happy to help. Happy to help. But yeah, with pound USD, it does look pretty bullish now. We could form a high low and could continue, yes, but that's just not the setup I'm interested in at the moment in time. I am definitely looking for us to have a slightly deeper pullback before finding entries, and 1.25 would be that area. But overall, I'm pretty bearish on the dollar. Kind of wanting a bit more upside though, but whether we'll see this happen is a big question mark. I think we're gonna have to rely on a lot of news for us to see a pullback that big. We got home sales this afternoon. Not too sure if that will be a big enough catalyst to get the market rolling. Tomorrow we do have jobless claims and GDP for USD, both at 1:30, so that could be an interesting afternoon. GDP is expected to go down. Thursday. Okay, Thursday PCE for USD as well. And Friday PMI. So again, not crazy news, but we definitely could see reaction here. I'm not too sure. I mean, kind of like an NFP to get that going, which is next Friday, funny enough. But I think it's next Friday, but we'll trade next week. But yeah, I am pretty bearish here on the DXY, but we potentially might just kind of continue these smaller pullbacks. If the market is just far too bearish, it will just continue to the downside anyway. Looks like pound USD might do that. I'm still looking for a slightly deeper correction on dollar CAD. I'm looking at a slightly deeper correction for Aussie dollar as well. That was not quite at my level just yet, but I'm looking to see if we can get retest of that zone. And the USD is actually in a nice place in the lower time frames. I marked this one out on the hourly chart. I think it's actually a really nice place for a long. Really nice resistance. It hasn't quite come into that level, but it's in a nice area of consolidation where we stalled for a few hours before seeing a really nice push to the upside. So, NZD/USD is in a really nice place for a buy. So I probably would say if you're looking to get involved to take advantage of weakness for the dollar, NZD/USD probably looks the best to me. Nice confluence, nice coming back into the range. Didn't quite come back to test this level. But if we do see a nice shift of momentum, which looks like we're getting here on the hourly chart, I think that's a nice place for a buy if you're looking to trade the hourly. And in terms of targets as well, I think risk reward looks really good. Let's say if the candle does close like this and you can get stop loss below the low there, a bit of wiggle room. Probably get a 1 to 2, maybe 1 to 3. Yeah, 1 to 3 back into the high there. So risk reward looks pretty good. Of course, I would wait for that candle to close I'm not saying enter now at all, because there's many times where you look to enter early just to see the candle pull back and leave just a huge wick there. Did that many times starting out, and is definitely a painful pill to swallow. So make sure you wait for candles to close if you're going to use candlestick entries to enter your trades. But yeah, if that can close similar to how we're looking at roughly around a 1 to 3. Of course, it does depend where it closes. It might be a little bit less, a little bit more. But roughly, if we close in that area, it's a nice little setup here. A lot of confidence in that area, and targets back to highs make a load of sense. And there is opportunity to take it further than that. But I would say if you can get it back into the high, that's a good trade for itself. So yeah, I'd probably say NZUSD looks the best. Really nice bullish structure, push, pullback, push, pullback, push, pullback, push. So very in sync bullish structure, flowing pretty well. And there definitely is room to the upside for New Zealand dollar. I marked out this level on the daily chart as where we could be looking to work our way to longer term. But yeah, I wouldn't suggest looking to try and take your trade that far. I know risk reward will look very good, but I mean, you can do if you want to, but I think it makes a lot more sense to target the high there. And you can look for the next pullback afterwards. We might get another retest somewhere, and you can look to really take advantage of that trade and get back in. But we'll see. But yeah, NZUSD low time frames probably looks the best in terms of the USD pairs. Dollar CHF I haven't mentioned yet, purely because we haven't really seen a strong break of support. I mean, it looks like we're getting it, but you can see it just hasn't really given me that strong break just yet. So I'm looking to see if price can really push through, and then I'll be looking for some pullbacks there for dollar CHF and some shorts. So I'm pretty bearish on this one. It's on the watch list actually this week. I really like the double top we put in, once over there, second time over there. So that is our double top resistance. Of course, you can see where we're trading as well. If I go to the weekly chart, massive resistance here on the weekly chart. Once, twice, a third time there as well. And I'm looking for a push back into the low there at 0.84083. So longer term, it could actually be the start of a really big sell for dollar CHF based on where we're trading, based on how we're rejecting the level 2, potentially back to support in here. So there could be a lot of downside there for dollar CHF. But in terms of opportunities, I need price to actually break support first, and then I'll start looking at some pullbacks. Otherwise, we could still bounce. But it looks like we're getting that. So if we can pick up the pace, pick up momentum, that would be great. And I'll start looking for some retests and some pullbacks of this level here to take some downside as well. But again, you can see another USD pair, which at least to myself, my analysis, I'm expecting a lot more downside. So very bearish on the DXY. Again, I'm not necessarily a long-term bias to downside just yet. I'm still waiting to see if price can go and break underneath some key levels on the daily chart. That's not the daily. There we go. So I'm seeing price can break back underneath this level here. And if we do have a successful break underneath, I'll be looking at something like this to happen and some major shorts back down, because all price has been doing for the past couple of years is ranging. And this potentially might be a big fake of that range. If it is a big fake of the range, we come back inside the range comfortably. I know we're kind of poking our noses underneath right now, but it's not really a confident move. If we go to the weekly chart, I want to see stronger candlesticks closing back within this, and then I'll be expecting a lot more downside. But if we do come back within the range and this becomes a big fake out, then we could see a lot more downside potentially for the rest of the year for the dollar. So that kind of sets the tone. And yeah, just looking to buy pound, buy Aussie, buy New Zealand dollar, short dollar CAD, short dollar CHF. That will very much be the plan for the rest of the year, pretty much. And we could see dollar CHF swing all the way back down into the low. So that range there could very well get that continuation. So I like the dollar pairs. There's a lot of room for us to move into, just waiting for a few setups to arise. And I'll probably say my favorite one would be pound USD, just because it's the cleanest, decent pullback area. And I think risk reward will look good. So you can find some entries in that area. If I can get some targets back into the high or that high, could look at some decent risk to reward. Euro USD looks okay as well. It's just a little bit flat. And I want to see a much bigger pullback for Euro before I do look for any buys, because right now we're still more or less trading at resistance right now for Euro USD. Although I do expect it to break, it doesn't make sense for me to find some entries there. So I need price to kind of skedaddle in the opposite direction, find some entries around 1.03, and look to see if we can take it back into the high there and potentially the high there as well. But Euro USD is also in an interesting area. If I go to the weekly chart and zoom out, you can see we're just about holding onto this low here. And this is a very pivotal low back in 2016, which gave us a humongous move to the upside. You can see right now, Euro USD just about holding that level as support. So I'm not saying we're going to get a move as big as that, but we're in an area where price is holding on to. And if you do that successfully, that could give us a very strong move to the upside back into highs there, which lines up very well with the dollar bias as well, back into support. If dollar's going to have a big fake of that high and we're going to push down, then I expect us to get there. Euro USD, the exact opposite. Expect us to make a move back into the high there if we're going to hold support here. So they're lining up. They're lining up for potentially big moves. I wouldn't say they're guaranteed, of course not, but they are pointing to the upside. So that's why I like the USD pairs, because potentially if you get the trade right, it can go very far if we are going to see those big moves. But in terms of timing entries, that's where the difficult part is, getting the trade at the right time, putting an appropriate stop loss. That's where the profit is made at the moment. Not seeing that opportunity just yet. With Euro pretty much at highs, at resistance, pound USD at highs as well. Need some counter moves there. But like I said, New Zealand dollar intraday looks the best right now. So if you're on the hourly chart, I would keep an eye on this one. Keeps pushing up because there's a lot of momentum, but I'll still wait for that to close, which is about to close in 6 minutes, and can get some nice buys back into the high there. But if that's the case, that means dollar probably isn't going to give us a bigger pullback then. I mean, we're looking pretty bearish right now. So perhaps we're just going to get continuation now. Yeah, which just shows just how bearish price is. But yeah, in terms of the pairs we're looking at the moment, it's very much around the USD pairs. Like I said, yen as well. Looking at a lot of yen pairs for some break and retest, really. The main yen pairs I'm looking at is pound yen on the break and retest of the low. So looking for pound yen to do something like this, break the support level, then looking for some pullbacks like this. So pound yen's on the watch list, but again, that might take a few days. Dollar yen on the watch list as well. Really like this one. If we can break through the lows there, that'd be fantastic. And looking for the retest of this support and resistance there as well for a short back into the low. So keeping a very close eye on dollar yen. Euro yen as well. I like this one too. This one's testing some major support in the daily chart. So again, waiting for that support to break. I will keep an eye to see if we do bounce that support and push back into resistance. I may look to have an attempt to try and catch the next lower high on the way back down again. But because it's such a big, powerful level of support, I want to see it broken. And if it does break, then that kind of opens up the floodgates for a lot of downside, really, as long as we can stay below. So something like that looks good. And CAD yen as well. So Euro yen, pound yen, dollar yen, CAD yen, all coming into some big levels of support. If we go to the daily chart, you'll see what I'm talking about. CAD yen, really big support. We've got a big head and shoulder pattern on our hands. And I do expect it to break and see a lot of downside. So again, if that can break, pullbacks will look good to take it down. So yen pairs keeping a close eye on. Again, no setup just right now for the yen pairs. So I'm going to let them do their thing. It may take a while to develop. USD pairs not too far away, but again, that might take a while. In terms of the CAD pairs, not really interested. The CAD pairs, we looked at New Zealand CAD and pound CAD. I'll go for Euro CAD quickly. Again, pretty much just a ranging market, to be honest. Very flat. Hasn't done anything. No kind of clear-cut trend for me either. So just staying away, kind of waiting for us to break resistance here, and then opportunities above that will look good. But I'm just not a fan of the intraday price action, or intra-week as well. Just very, very range bound and just fluctuating a lot. No consistency. Aussie CAD likewise as well. This one on the daily chart, I've been looking for a big sell, but just hasn't really formed yet. We did break out of this channel, but didn't really see the momentum kick in. I mean, that still might be the bigger move, but no kind of clear setup to take a trade there. So yeah, nothing there for me. In terms of CHF pairs, like I said, I'm currently trading Aussie CHF, so in that position, I'm going to continue to keep a close eye on and manage, see how that goes. I'm still looking for a really big swing back to the lows here, so that's still very much the plan there of Aussie CHF. Like I said before, if everything goes well, potentially look to take it all the way back to the low there at 0.53664, which is right next to the all-time lows, which is down the left. So very bearish on the CHF, and I'm pretty bearish across the board for the CHF pairs, in particular pound CHF and New Zealand CHF, but I'd wait till I get to break even for Aussie CHF before I do look to get into another CHF pair. I think at the moment I might be looking at something like this for pound CHF, which again might take a few weeks. Depends if you can break out the range. I'm looking at something like that for pound CHF. I was contemplating shorting the high, but because I was in Aussie CHF, I decided not to, because I'll just be doubling down my risk on CHF. But like I said, if I can get Aussie CHF to break even, maybe you see move to the downside for pound, then something like this could look good in the next coming weeks and take shorts off the back of that. Likewise with New Zealand CHF, which is a very, very similar pair to Aussie CHF. Again, it looks like this one. This is Lender. It looks like this one is seeing some downside. That is not a trade I'm in. That's just it was a setup which I did get, but I didn't take it because I was in Aussie CHF. And of course, they're similar pairs, so they'll both be in profit or both be in loss. But yeah, this one again, really nice momentum. I'll keep an eye on this one. If it does approach the high again, I'll look for an entry, but we'll see if that does happen. Again, in terms of the bigger move, looking for a push back to these lows here as well. So CHF pairs I'm very bearish on, but until I get Aussie to break even, I'm not going to jump into another one. So, but again, there's not a lot for me to do in terms of managing the position. I'm kind of waiting for us to kind of attack the lows first, closer to these areas, and then I'll see what I can do with the position, and hopefully other CHF pairs will look good. And then, of course, hopefully I can get into some yen pairs and some USD pairs whilst we're at it. But that's kind of really where I'll focus on. I'm going to keep a close eye on Bitcoin because, of course, with that big drop this morning, is this a fake out or is this the real deal? We've already pulled back a decent chunk as well. So I don't know. Maybe it is going to be another big wick to the downside here. Really what I'm looking for is just to see how this daily candle does close on Bitcoin. If this is a real drop in prices, breaking support to have another retracement, possibly come back to 74K, then I want to see a strong committed close below support. If this is just going to pull back and leave another wick to the downside, well, we're back to square one. Price is still holding support, and I'm expecting another push back to the upside at 106K. So very interesting time right now for Bitcoin. A lot of other cryptocurrencies have dropped pretty hard as well. So I want to see how Bitcoin does it, because Bitcoin's the main guy. If Bitcoin's breaking to the downside, it's not good for the other cryptocurrencies. And likewise, if Bitcoin's shooting to the upside, that's good. So we'll see if Bitcoin can hold support. We've still got 12 hours left before the daily candle does close. But if it does hold support, I would be very bullish on this one in the next few days. But we'll see how it does close. Already pulling back quite a lot there, so I think that's a big sign. Nice close on the 4-hour chart. But we'll see on the day, though. That's the main thing. But yeah, guys, we have approached the end of the stream. As always, I will be live again tomorrow and, well, every weekday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So if you are free, make sure you do pop in, say hi, come chat with us. If there's any pairs you're looking at, feel free to share. We'll take a look. I'll give my thoughts, opinions. You can do as well. We'll discuss, see what the best opportunities are in the markets. If you have found this useful, informative, enjoyed it, please be sure to drop a like and do subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. I do really appreciate each and every one of you who have liked, subscribed. It does really help the channel, so I do appreciate that. And of course, hit the bell whilst you're at it so you don't miss on any streams or uploads in the future. Make sure you do check out the Elevating Traders Discord channel, complete free to join, link in the description below. Chat with other traders, chat with myself. I share ideas there. So if you're looking to participate, go and check it out. You can find out a lot more information about Elevating Traders as well. So if you're interested, check it out. Links in the description. But guys, appreciate you tuning in. Have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.